Okay. Well. Hello, Spamtron, Nerfing Jello, Antonio Bassell. Hello. Let's see if we can do anything with this. Hang on, that's really wide angle. New phone, new phone. So I'm trying to figure things out here. Oh, too much. How's that? Is that a little better? A little better. That's more realistic. Okay, I like that a little bit more. All right, Phone Blast. Hey, how are you guys? Who's online? Okay, let's keep tweaking this a little bit. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. The quality, the video quality, sound quality, etc., etc. Like I said, this is the first trying this with the new phone. So if things suck, then maybe we'll adjust things, or if things are okay, then we'll just keep rolling. Wow, somebody just notified me on. Hey, all right. Oh, bud. Wait. A good keeps breaking up. Keeps breaking up. Shouldn't be an issue. Hang on, let me check my settings here. I think that's as good as the signal's going to get on the Wi-Fi. Thank you. Good boy. All right. Over here, having a cozy rainy day, thinking about rewatching Chief Fan Stream. Then I got Bob Ross Nerf. All right. Well, enjoy your cozy rainy afternoon. I'm having another 90s sunny afternoon, so I'm in the garage today. So, hi. Thank you. Boy. Okay, keeps breaking up. Too delay thing, consistent, keeps trying to catch up to itself. That's really odd, really odd, really odd. Okay, well, what the heck? We'll try jumping on the Wi-Fi or something, see if that changes things. Okay. All right. Was that any better by chance, or did we? Printer essentially. Okay. Hey, bud, look out! Look out! Look out! Yes, I like that. Yes, you're a good boy. Thank you. Okay. Mid 90s down there. Okay. I was going to ask about how printers really handle the heat, because I don't have air conditioning in my garage either, and it gets mighty unpleasant in here sometimes. But my printer's been out of commission for a while anyway, so I just haven't quite had the motivation or time really to do anything about it. So. We still going? Is it just as choppy as it was before? We getting any better? Look out. Seems to be doing better. Awesome. Good deal. I'm not sure why. Thank you. Thank you. Why it was cutting out and being choppy, but hopefully we got that taken care of. That seemed kind of pointless. What was I thinking? Not sure why I cut the end off of this when the rest of it's functional. I'm sure I probably had a junk one that would have been a better donor. Okay, well. Hi. Oh, you're being a good boy. You're bringing that right back. Thank you. Need to rewatch integration videos. Right on. Yeah. Yeah. Plenty of material I've put out. I don't know if it's all super beneficial, but it's all information of one sort or another. So hopefully you can glean what you need from old episodes. Mr. Angel with a shotgun. so many pieces of CPVC? I do not know. Okay. Well, it's weird not having, not actually being out in the garage for a while and wondering what the heck I was thinking when I did so many things that I apparently did. I just wanted to tell you the best. Oh, thank you very much, Jug Gunner. I appreciate that. Inspired to start your integration. Nice. Well, that's the entire purpose of doing the videos. Was when I first started doing integration stuff, there was really no information out there except for I think there's like one Coop video where he's like, you know, hey, I use epoxy putty and blah blah blah, and I thought, boy, I sure wish I knew how to do that. And so I figured it out on my own, and then decided, you know, it'd be nice to put something out there for the people who don't know, and especially just being able to share the things that I learned that made things easier for me. So, yeah. I see Bobster. Cleanup, yes, kind of. Haven't really had a lot of time to dedicate out into the garage, especially lately. Just enough time to come out and make a mess real quick and not really gain anything. So I figured since I had a free day finally, I would do a little sprucing up in here, and figured I'd invite you guys along. Been a while since I actually put out a video, like a video, and so this is kind of an opportunity to kind of reach out and be like, hey guys, just in case somebody had questions about things. This isn't like a formal like Q&A, fancy Q&A video thing. This is more like, hey, if you guys want to come hang out or whatever, then yeah, spark up some kind of conversation. So if you guys have a particular thing you want to chat about, you're more than welcome. Can everybody hear me while I'm wandering around? Yeah, are we still cutting out and being choppy, or did that kind of straighten up a little bit? One of these is from the Sentry, one of these is from the Liberator, and they're almost the exact same part. This is a little lockout thing. Where's I removed the little lock safety trigger thing from both the Liberator and the Sentry, and they were clever enough to apparently use the same part instead of Nerf that has to redesign every single part for every single blaster, while we have a dozen different flywheel cages that all accomplish essentially the same thing. And if they just built the blaster with the same mounts, they could have saved themselves and us a lot of hassle. So, good job, Dart Zone. Did a simple flywheel Vulcan mod. Thought of how cool it would be if you tried something like that. I actually had, I don't know where the heck that thing went. Actually had a Vulcan pistol mod that I started working on years ago. I mean, like within my first year doing the hobby. I mean, before people actually did things with Vulcans, really. I mean, I just what the heck? I think it was a Nightfinder grip. I think I put on there and started working on that, and then just kind of abandoned it because I lost interest. But I've been wanting to. Hey, bud, what's wrong? What's wrong? Been wanting to do kind of a flywheel Vulcan thing, especially. I believe somebody on Thingiverse built a set of mounts or a whole separate cage that basically was turned into almost a bolt-in flywheel cage for the Vulcan, which would be kind of neat to play with and would simplify the heck out of that. Just dang it. Like with so many things, just haven't had a chance yet. So many things I want to do. I can hear you well. Okay, good deal. Nice to be able to kind of move around and work on things on different sides of the garage. But I don't want people being like, "What the heck's he talking about? You hear him? What'd he say?" So. Charm of the Vulcan is well played. Yeah, I suppose the Vulcan, if you make it too practical, it kind of loses some of its charm and lovability. Can hear the next door neighbor's dog whining. On your end or on mine? Because Krieger Dog's just kind of walking around in circles. I think he wants to go out and play or something because he's been cooped up because we've been working around the house all day. Which is actually funny because I was editing a video. Gads, this was a month or two ago. I was editing a video, and the Krieger Dog was whining on the video, and I kept yelling at him in the house while I was editing, being like, "Hey, what the heck are you whining about? What's wrong? What do you need to go outside?" He's right next to my feet, asleep, but I was hearing him whining on the video I was editing. But because it was so slight, it sounded like he was just in the other room whining, and so I'm sitting there shouting at the dog who's just trying to sleep, wondering what the heck I'm yelling at. So that was kind of one of those stupid pet parent moments, I guess. But one more member in the Messy Workstation Club. Yes, indeed. Guilty as charged. Very, very... Which is funny, because I'm generally not a messy guy. I'm only like, creatively messy. So, yeah, it's kind of one of those things where I get an idea and I go out to the garage and be like, I'm going to work on such and such, because that's a brilliant idea. And then I wonder, who the heck made a mess out of my place here? And then realize, oh, that was me, being messy, screwing everything up. So, I can only be mad at myself. I made the mistake, a month or two ago, whenever it was, I had that mod party over here. I set up 2 more, like, 6-foot banquet tables on the other side of the garage, thinking this will make a bunch of room so people can work. Well, then when nobody showed up, I proceeded to move in, and so now, I mean, it's a good thing I don't actually drive my car anymore, because I've got a work vehicle, but now I have 2 more tables that are as messy as this, with other projects all strewn about, and I can't even keep one project on one table. I have half the project on one table, half the project on the other table, and then 2 more projects kind of in the middle and stuff that I don't even know why I'm working on it, but there we go. have salsa jars that I use for little screws and springs and these little pins and stuff like that, because they have a nice little screw-on cap. You can see into them, and you know, so they seal so they're not getting full of dust, and they also don't scratch up because you have metal stuff flopping around. So there's that. So if anybody says, why the heck are you eating so much salsa, it's because they're full of things, so it's cool. Okay. Oh yes, Michelle, that was the Prager dog. He's just been kind of mopey right now because he's like, Dad, you're finally home. Why the heck aren't we outside playing? And it's like, well, because Dad's got some crap to do right now because he hasn't been around. So he's just gonna have to tough it out for a while and be cool. So look out! Look out! Look out! Edscar, how are you, Edscar? Been enjoying your videos lately. Not that that's unusual, I generally do, but you've been covering some good material. So that's good. That's me being genuinely supportive of what the heck you're doing. Since we tend to have a bit of playful banter back and forth. No, you're doing good things. It's a good deal. Covering a lot of stuff that no one else covers, whether they don't care or don't know or whatever, but good work, man. Way to pick up the slack. What do I think is the next step in ammo evolution after Rival becomes obsolete? What do you mean obsolete? I think Rival can keep going for a while. I mean, they keep putting out the same dart blasters over and over again, and we keep buying them. So there's no reason to assume we wouldn't just keep buying the same Rival blasters over and over again, because they'll make it look cooler, they'll make it work a little differently or something like that. So, but really, what the heck else is there? We've got long darts, we got short darts, we got round darts, we got round flat darts, you know. So I don't know what the heck else geometrically we could even expect. I mean, maybe going bigger or smaller, the same way we got Rival ammo after ballistic balls, and so. But at the same time, if they go any smaller, it just becomes squishy airsoft, which is pointless. I really don't think there's a whole lot more surprises we can get from like ammo types. Like I said, I think we've pretty well recovered everything that can be covered without going completely off the rails. I know we even got those silly arrows that they used for Rebel and for Zombie Strike. So I mean, there's that. Organic organization. I like that. Thank you, Panda. That's good. That's good. I'm going to use that. Make sure my wife can't use it too. Be like, it's aesthetic. It's supposed to look like that. No, it's not. Tables seem to be stuff magnets. Yes, flat surfaces are wonderful things, but also awful things, because as soon as you have a flat surface, you collect gunk. Whatever kind, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you say, I need more space, I'll create a flat surface, and then just stuff gets there, and you wonder, well, I was going to use that area for something really important. Now I don't have room because something else is there. So... Square ammo. You never know. Mental image, buying a pallet load of salsa, taking out the actual... No, see, that's the catch. I was putting that stuff down like crazy. Like, right before we got married, I was like going through a jar of salsa a week. because I found this stuff that had some kind of crazy chipotle salsa, and I was like, hey, maybe I'll try salsa, and decided I really liked salsa, and then I couldn't get that salsa, but they made a different kind, and so I got that kind instead, and then the store stopped carrying that, and so I went through about like a dozen different kinds of salsa in like a year or two, and so I've got 6, 8. I had like 12 dozen of these things laying around everywhere. I had to throw a bunch of them out, but look out! Hey, look out! You can't just walk around under my feet all day, man. You're killing me, Smalls. Okay. Who reads instructions? You know, Ed brings up a good point. I mean, it doesn't really matter what the heck they make next, as long as we can make something cool out of it. I mean, you look at the Chronos. The Chronos I've seen rebarreled to shoot megas. I've seen it, rebarreled for elites, magazine fed. I've seen it take. Wasn't there one that Chronos that was set up to use the Spring Thunder shells? I mean, if Hasbro or Dart Zone, Zuru, Busby, anybody gives us something that has just the smallest bit of potential, or even just an idea or whatever, we'll make it do whatever the heck we want. So it really doesn't matter that much, and it's be really mattering less and less as time progresses what the corporate blaster companies are doing. Since I think we've pretty much got everything we actually need. I mean, as long as we can make strifey things or whatever. Not only just the community itself, 3D printing stuff, we have Worker, and we got more and more companies, it seems like, stepping up and filling up the gaps. So, yeah, if Hasbro throws some kind of curveball at us and makes something weird and says, "Hey, this is what the future looks like," we can just be like, oh, "Okay, that's great. Screw you, but we're going to keep doing this, or we're going to do this instead, or whatever." Because that's a cool thing about us as a community. We take really anything and make it good. Which is cool. It's a good thing to be a part of. It's a good good company to keep as far as our kind of people. false height. There you go. All right. All right. Hurry up out there. Hey, you done? Come on. Oh, don't do that there. Oh. Come on. Well done. Come on. Boy. Boy. No, 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 no. You missed your turn. There you go. There you go. Oh, good boy. Good boy. Let's go inside and get a big drink. Yeah, big drink. Really big drink. Okay. Go. So. Alright. Well, what the heck was going on? Things got loud, so we stepped out for a minute. And. Is that better? So, what have I missed? Oh, that went the wrong way. Oops. There we go. Okay, let's go back in time here. Mega Rival. See, what we need is not like ballistic balls. We need like a blaster that fires the old Nerf balls from like '68 or whatever. The big giant things the size of like those little kiddie basketball sized things. See, that'd be cool. We could have something like that. The consistency of a rival ball and get that thing launched at like 90 to 100 FPS. Then you'd have something. It'd be like the dodgeball cannon or something. Mega Vortex, so you'd be like throwing frisbees. I can get behind that. I think I can get behind that. Oh. Main issue with the Dart Zone Prime is the Talon Claw is kind of better if they released ZP. And that's the thing. In fact, I was just listening yesterday to the Detroit Dart Talk episode where they actually talked to the Dart Zone Pro, Dart Zone designer guy. And we're talking about that. And it's kind of cool because they do seem to, especially, seem to actually pay attention to us and, treat us like, oh, you guys know what you're doing and stuff like that, which is kind of cool, whereas Hasbro is like not as receptive to us as a community and as people. But it's really cool. But yeah, I kind of wish they had taken more time to adopt the existing ecosystem instead of trying to create yet another, a third party, so to speak, Half Dart Mag. So that was kind of a bummer. But maybe they didn't know, or they'd already developed this one thing and they kind of liked it, or they were afraid of trying to copy something too exact. Not really sure, but yeah, if it was direct compatible, I think it'd be a whole different game right now. Yes, Michelle, that's seems to very much be the case. Where I don't know who Hasbro's focus groups are, but I can only assume that the Fortnite stuff is apparently selling since they're releasing like another dozen blasters that are just the same thing that we didn't want before, but now it's a different color that we still don't want, and then smaller ones of things that we really don't want. So yeah, I'm. It just seems odd that you have Hasbro on one hand is like Fortnite, and then you have Dart Zone who's like, hey guys, look at this cool thing we're making. It's like the stuff you make, only you didn't make it, we did. And it's like, hey Dart Zone, how you guys doing? You know, so it does seem like a weird disconnect, but apparently Hasbro knows their audience, and Dart Zone, it's at the very least, is giving us a chance to be like, okay guys, if we make this, how's, you say you like our stuff, what about this? So it says a lot about them, and I do have to appreciate that, especially when they make cool things like that, which isn't perfect, and it really bums me out that not only it's got two things that I don't like. I like the idea and everything, but the fact that when you load it, it doesn't actually fire, because it doesn't, once you poke the rounds in, it doesn't actually let them go until you prime it the next time. And then, once you do have it, and it does have stuff in it, you can't just immediately reload it again. Because it's got crap in the way, but did it that time because it's been all screwy and making me look bad. See, then there's times where it just doesn't work at all, and that just drives my point home. Come on, guys, what the heck? So, kudos to Dart Zone for trying and for having a heck of an idea, but it's just not working out so hot right now, fellas. There we go. There we go. I have a slightly stronger spring in there now, but it's I don't think it's quite to its potential, but it's the best spring I had that actually fit. That would have been the super coolest thing to have. 10 rounds, pump action, super compact and everything. I would have liked that a whole lot better if it was a little more intuitive on the reload, as far as, for one thing, you prime it back, then you have to open up the thing, and then you poke the rounds in. And then you have reloading issues beyond that. So it's very unfortunate, but the point of that is well, there's one in there. Come on, Charlie, let's go. Anyway. So, yeah, I guess that just kind of drives my point home. Cool idea. Good job, Dart Zone. Way to think outside the box. Kind of missed the boat just a little bit, which is kind of a bummer. But, then you have, let's see, where'd it go? Bought one. I'm pretty sure I bought one. Well, a minute ago, I had the Sentry. For some reason, it doesn't exist anymore. There we go. Now see, this is a pretty cool thing. This is a pretty cool idea where you can just flip the thing open and you can just kind of reload as you go, instead of having to rack it open and then poke rounds in. You can just poke rounds in. But one thing, well, modified this a little bit already. Kind of fine-tuned the little catch thing here, so it's not quite, you can just kind of, it still holds shut, but you can kind of just pop it open, still stay secure. You can kind of force it a little bit and trim this up a little bit so it opens up a little bit further. So it opens up that far, even though the detent wants to hold it there. But, or you can just bust the whole thing off, and then you just have direct access to that. But the bad thing is, on mine, the rounds don't always drop in real nice, especially if you're firing in a hurry. So that's kind of a bummer deal where you're relying on the gravity instead of a forced follower pushing rounds in. So that's kind of a bummer on that. I was really hoping that I'd like this a lot more, but still pretty okay. Still pretty okay. And there again, just the fact that Dart Zone is doing cool things says a lot about them. It's like, good job, Dart Zone. Way to not suck. The fact that we do have Dart Zone actually paying attention and designing cool things and actually thinking before they produce stuff, that says a lot. And it gives me a lot of hope for the future of the hobby and whatnot. It'd be cool if Dart Zone made a shotgun had the rival mag system like Zuru. Oh yeah, they're weird. Yeah, I haven't seen those yet. I do want to get a hold of those Zuru rival thingies, just because they have the slightly different loading type deal. But I always thought it'd be cool, and I remember thinking about it a long time ago before. Before the Liberator was a thing, I remember sitting down and thinking, there's got to be a way to have a mag system that fit in like this way, basically. And so you could feed it just like you would on a, on like a Mossberg or whatever, and just kind of punch them in that way. And then when you prime it, basically kind of like the Atlas, only flipped around. So like, it dropped in, instead of dropping in this way and down and out, it was like this, but dropped up and came back the same direction. As far as, like here, especially on this one that I have opened up, you can just fill up the mag all day just like that. And so if you had the thing to where the plunger was here firing out that way, you have all this extra barrel, but that doesn't seem to be a super huge issue. But I always thought it'd be cool to have something that, even if you had the plunger back here, and how'd that work? I had it all figured out to where I think like the whole plunger moved or something, if I remember right. But when you primed it back, then I guess similar to the little follower guy here, that when you primed it back, it bumped that dude and lifted the guy up. I don't know. I'm not a designer guy. I just cut stuff up. But it would have been a whole lot cooler if you could, load, boom, 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 and then prime it, and that's what moved everything up. That way you're not turning it around and shoving it in the, in your armpit and trying to reload, or holding the thing way out here and having to prime it, slide the thing back, and then poke stuff in. It just seemed like I like everything else about it. I like the idea. It just would have been a whole lot cooler if it was cooler, I guess. But believe it or not, if there's anybody watching that's like been anticipating the Atlas overhaul video that I've been promising for 2 or 3 years or however long, I actually had, before I left town, when I was out of town for those 3 weeks, I actually had the table all cleared off and nice, and I had this sitting like this, and I had this one sitting like this, and I had all the room in the world, and I was going to go through and I was going to basically open this one up, show what I did here, and actually do it on this one. But then things went bad and I haven't had a chance to get back out, and then I looked at them once and was like, I really need to make that video, but now I'm upset, and so I haven't done it. So if anybody's actually been wanting to see that video for like the last couple of years, I got really close to doing it this time and then didn't. So see, but like with this, I'm cleaning the garage now, so maybe next week I can go through and I can actually make a video, or at least think about it, or at least get an idea, or at least have some motivation to do a video. So there's that. Like I said, I think there's probably like 3 people in the community that actually want this video, and I guess that's good enough, because it is good information and it's something I really want to talk about. Just haven't done it. So there's that. Oh, you guys have been talking as I've been rambling, so. Oh, hi Alice. That thing doesn't sound amazing. What thing? What the heck was I talking about 10 minutes ago when you said that? They finally make a proper shotgun that shoots multiple rounds. Lightning Eagle S, this is, holy cow! Somebody's saying a lot of things that, okay. Chris, I don't know what the heck's been going on, but you've been doing a heck of a job as at your moderatorship, so thank you very much. Yeah, proper shotgun that shoots multiple rounds. they got really close, and like I've said before, the Atlas has a bunch of potential if you're just willing to work for it. Like if you're willing to work like a dog, digging ditches and stuff like that, then you can make something out of the Atlas. Yes, Alice, videos are very hard, and I have to applaud you right here because of having seen the amount of editing that went into your last video. Uh, that's the kind of that video you made is the kind of video I don't want to make because I my brain does not work like that. So I have a high respect for people who can do that, not only mentally process this is how I want this to work, and then actually being able to do it and have it turn out that good. Uh, so yeah, that's a whole different set of skills that I don't have and don't necessarily want. And Blast, yes, and that, yeah, this week in Nerf's destroying your desire for other content, and that's the bad part is that I realize, man, you guys do a ton of work to crank that out every week, and it's something that, I mean, I appreciate the crap out of it, and I think everybody else appreciates the crap out of it. It's just such a good resource, and it was great when Jang was doing it. Just such like probably the best thing to come out of the community weekly. It's just such a great service you guys provide, and I think we all appreciate it, even if we don't let you guys know as often as we should. But I totally understand. Like I said, I've been really poor in putting out videos recently, just because, especially the new schedule sucks and all that. But yeah, it's amazing how your desire to create can take such a hard hit. And yeah, I think anybody who makes videos can relate to not wanting to make videos. Uh, Shoot. Okay, so product placement. All right. Oh, hi. So what the heck's everybody else up to? I mean, I realize what's today? Is today Tuesday? Today should be Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday. Is it Tuesday? Um, what's everybody else up to on a Tuesday, be it morning or afternoon or whatever it is for you, local time? I guess also, does anybody have any questions about things? I mean, I know I've been kind of tinkering the last week or so, well, not week or so, a couple of days this week, meaning today and yesterday, on a few new projects that were really unnecessary. But does anybody have any curiosity about the fate of older projects or the future of new projects or anything like that? Just kind of, anybody want any kind of update, or does anybody just want to just kind of chill and hang out for a little bit, or you know, what do you guys want to do? All right. You're just being so whiny and needy today. I like you so much, but you're just so needy. We'll go play. We'll go outside and play in a minute. We'll go play in a minute. You're being a good boy, though. Way to be a good sport. Whew. Wednesday morning, struggling to get out of bed. Ah, yeah, boy, that's gonna be me in a couple hours. So, working on a secret project I was messaging you about last night. Oh, that. I like that a lot. So, that's cool. I'm not going to go into any details on that because that's your secret project. But for those of you who are privy to Alice's secret project, or may later when she reveals more about it, that's pretty good. So there's that. Trying to figure out what I want to do for first flywheel project. Leaning toward demolisher or regulator. Don't want to do just a strife. If it's your first flywheel project, I probably wouldn't jump into a regulator because they're pretty nasty. And demolisher as well are really not super friendly for first timers, or second timers, or third timers, just because they're so screwed up inside. I probably would recommend, if you're doing a first flywheel mod, just do a strife, because you really can't screw up a strife, and that'll give you kind of the experience you need to really go from there. Because I think otherwise it might be a little daunting when you open up a demolisher or especially a regulator and go, oh, there's wires everywhere. What's this one do? Or things like that. But then again, I'm not an expert, so I'm just a guy saying things. So take that for what it is. Sorry, I'm just checking messages on my phone real quick. Nice, finished. Stuff. Oh, shoot. Okay. Aha. Okay. Well, sorry, my wife texted me and says she wants to do some stuff tonight. So, like, go on a date, see a movie, that kind of cool thing. Um, so, has anybody been paying attention to says how long this thing's been streaming? Because it never tells me on my end. In fact, it on my end it tells me that nobody's watching. So, but I know there's at least like two of you. So, yeah, if someone can give me a duration here, maybe we'll try to keep it to like an hour, hour and a half, or something like that, and then I'll shut it down and then get all fancy for the misses. 52 minutes. 20, 5, 4. I like you guys so much. We'll crank it out for another like half hour or so if you guys want to. If you guys are like bored and you're like, you're not doing anything, you're just talking, and you guys have other cool stuff you want to do instead, that's totally cool. Because I think for the most part I've kind of done what I needed to do. I just wanted to at least reach out to you guys and be like, hey, I'm still technically here, even though things are all screwed up and messy. But just to let you guys know that I'm here and I'm thinking about you and stuff like that. And that if you guys had any questions or wanted to reach out or anything, then we could do that. If you're all content to just chill, then that's a whole different deal altogether. So. Just by a raise of hands, metaphorical hands, that is, because I can't see you guys. How many people are here on YouTube but not following on Instagram, Facebook, etc.? Is there like more than one? Ed, ever looked into a Big Rebel integration? Let's see. Actually, I have a plan for it. Not I wouldn't call it a super like integration, but a modified cosmetic mod for Rebel, actually for a Rapid Red that I'm pretty excited about. I just need to do a little more research. It'll actually probably be my first prop-ish build because I want to take a Rapid Red and make it look like something else. So yes, I do have a plan for one of those in the future. I just need to get a better idea of some more reference material and kind of a game plan a little bit. But it's pretty cool. I think not super huge. It's more of a personal like. I think this is cool, so I'm gonna make it. Not necessarily a this thing is so cool everyone's gonna love it. Because sometimes you got to build something for yourself. Is a demolisher really that much different than a strike inside? Yes, they're really screwy because it's got two shit. Like obviously it has two shells, but then each half is like an inner and an outer, and there's wires that run like from one half of the shell to the other, and then between the two shell halves on the other side, and it's really kind of jacked up. I don't know what the heck the designer was smoking when he was made that, but yeah, it's it's weird. I mean, you could probably figure it out if you're a clever guy, but I don't know you personally, so I can't be like, oh yeah, it's a piece of cake. Because sometimes when you start a project and somebody tells you that it's going to be easy, and then they don't realize how dumb you are, and then you try to make something happen and it doesn't work, and then they realize, wow, I gave you way too much credit because you're not so bright. If you ever been in that situation, then you kind of know what I mean. Okay. Okay, Revel Halcyon. Okay, cool. Then, uh, then I'm going to share something real quick that I think is neat that I'm working on. I shared it yesterday on Facebook and Instagram, for those of you who follow there. But it's just a silly thing that I was looking at and thought, you know what, I should build this thing, and then thus I started building a thing. So this is a Tyrant that's in more of an actual like rifle-y format and not a whatever the heck it is format. Hang on a second. Too much junk. Okay. Yeah, so if anybody's actually had a Tyrant before, it's kind of a weird thing where the grip is back here with no actual stock, just a boxy, unnecessary stuff. And then this big space here to where you can't, like the mag release is up here, which is cool, you bump that, and then the magazine is so big you can't actually grab a hold of it with your hand. And at the same time, there's a weird shroud thing that sticks down like almost an inch past the actual lip of the magazine. So your magazine is actually like up in a hole and you can't get to it hardly. So it's kind of a weird setup. And I thought, how cool would it be if you could move the grip up to a little more normal area, and then add a stock just because you might as well, and then make it pump action instead of this goofy top slide. And so that's what's going on here. Is I cut the grip off, moved a long strike grip up in here, and I'm hoping I can combine the actual mag release from the Tyrant into the cool mag release from the long strike, and then I'm going to trim a little more off this and try to blend it up a little bit more and make it look, not crappy and stuff. I think I'm going to tuck the stock in just a little bit so that it pulls the blaster back a little bit so that I can tuck this in it even more and make it as compact as possible so you're not hanging your arm way out the front and trying to pump. I want to make it as ergonomic and comfortable and happy as possible, because I know Ed's going to be lurking in the distance being like, your ergonomics suck in metric. So, so there's that. But I got this guy. It's going to fit in kind of like that. I want to pull this in as far as possible, try to clean this up a little bit, but I need to cut some of this off, but I'm not sure how much I want to cut off. And so I also need to figure out how to make this not look like it was just stuck in there, because it's just kind of a box. And it's like, I like Busby. They have some like cool gimmicks and stuff like that, and they're making a lot better blasters now, but their aesthetics they're just bad. They're just bad. Sorry, Busby, but it's not good. It's one of those things where I think the Busby designer guy like took the design to his mom and was like, "Hey mom, I designed this," and she's like, "Oh, that's so great," and put it up on the fridge, and then he thought that was great, and that's what they built. He didn't share it with his friends who would put their arm on his shoulder and be like, you're on the right track, but it needs a lot of work. And so I think the designer guy should have gone to his friends instead of his mother. But either way, we got the Tyrant, and it is what it is. And so I'm probably going to have to not only fill in this big weird area here with something, but also do something to contend with this large brick, and make it look good. But you have so much real estate here that I'm not sure what I'm going to use to try to cover up the fact that there's just so much kind of there. I think because, like I said, there's like almost an inch hanging down here that's unnecessary. So I'm thinking I'm going to take and kind of cut up at an angle and kind of do that, I don't know, whatever firearm, blah, 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 that has kind of the angled cut here that, I'm not a firearm guy. I mean, they're cool and all. It's just, that's not my thing. you know, for like knowing things about. Um, just to kind of tie that up a little bit so it's not quite so heavy up here. Kind of trim it up a little bit and kind of blend this in a little and, you know, blah, blah, whatever. So I'm hoping that'll kind of break that up a little bit. Because I do have... Wow, I scared myself. There's 2 screw ports here that we can utilize, so we don't need this one, because that was my main concern. So we can bring this up here like that. We'll lose that one, but we'll gain 2 more, so I'm okay with that, especially since we'll be losing these ones here as well. So, boy, that something happened there. I'm not sure what. So, Mega Alpha Trooper thing. More of a Mega Pump Action Retaliator, more or less. And Alice. Internal priming bar would be cool, and that was my original plan, but it's Busby. Busby does weird things, and so like the priming grip handle thing actually clamps onto the front of the actual bolt, kind of like on a Magnus, I guess, where instead of having like a bolt sled thing, it just clamps on, and like this right here is just, this is the top of the bolt. I don't know if I can, yeah, I could show you, but it wouldn't be able to, like, you wouldn't understand what the heck this even means. But because you have so little room to work with, I mean, you might be able to, but there's nothing to really attach it with, and so as I continue to put the framework together as far as pump action thingy, barrel thingy, and things like that, then, I mean, if I can make it happen, cool, but if I don't at this point see how it's possible, because especially with pump action down here, I don't know how I'd have the action go through the barrel and up into here, because then this is all weird and there's really nothing to attach to here. So I think I'm going to have to go external and just try to make it look as clean as possible. Or just be like, hey, it's a big brackety thing that sticks off the side of the blaster and looks like a you know, drawer slides. But hey, you have a pump action mega rifle, so there's that. So that's kind of, you know, kind of go for that. Is the grip long enough for it to catch? As far as is there enough travel on the slide? Yes, because where's my measure stick? I used to have a thing that measured state. That'll work. That'll work. If you see, you probably can't see because your eyes are further away than mine. But I made a mark here. This guy only travels this far because there's a piece on the back that actually handled part of the locking mechanism, which I might try to utilize again, but I'm not sure quite yet. But the actual travel isn't this far because it's not like a Centurion that has, you know, gear reduction and a you know, 3.5 foot long stroke, but it only goes about what, 4.5 inches. So, which I believe there's at least that much on this guy. Yeah, it should be fine, and I can always kind of fudge it one way or another to make it happen. Because this, I was noticing, the Rampage doesn't actually, it only primes back like so far. It doesn't actually use the full travel that it's capable of. So. Edscar, Centurion has weirdness. Yes, that is why the best Centurion is a gutted Centurion. And I'm sitting here as a guy who has, what, 1, 2, I think there's 3. I have at least 2. There's probably another one hiding somewhere. But over there that function I mean, as good as a Centurion is, and yes, it's fun, and sometimes when I'm bored, I'll just be like, and then go ka-klung, you know, because that's the other part that's good about a Centurion, is just firing it for the sake of firing it when you don't actually intend on hitting anything. It's kind of like a stampede. Shooting it is like the fun part, not actually being practical with it. I did have fantasies about having a flat top, like an actual, like putting a Picatinny on there, but I don't think that's going to happen. But, oh, there was. Okay. Franganzilla actually commented on, I think, my Facebook and Instagram post both, and was like, "You need the handle from a deploy." And I was like, "I'm sorry," and he didn't like say it as a suggestion. He said it as like, that's just what needs to happen, and so I was kind of eyeballing it, and I was like, it actually doesn't hurt that bad, because I originally was looking at this and going, okay, I can use this for the priming slide, but the Rampage Raider gives a little more travel. So I thought, that actually is kind of neat. And I was looking at it, and I did have a fleeting moment when I was actually eyeballing it and saying, I could cut the handle off and just stick it to the top of the existing handle, and then when you prime it, you're just kind of reaching your hand through the handle. So like, basically you'd be priming it like that. And I thought, okay, that's actually kind of a cool thing, and it almost had me to the point where I was just going to do that and leave the front end short, only put something cooler on there, because this is kind of silly looking to me personally. So I was really close on that, but I may still incorporate that, because I think I'm going to have to use the original handle thing here to bolt to for the external priming linkage, so I might still stick that on top and it'll just travel. But because when you shoulder it, even if you put your face on it, your face is only back here, so it's not like you're gonna have the scope or the sight optic, the whole thing you're looking through. It's not gonna come back and like punch you in the eyeball or anything, so that's okay. Yeah, that's what has kind of been occupying my mind the last 24 hours or so. Before that, if anyone's been looking at this going, what the heck is that exactly? It's the, well, there again, people who've been watching the Facebook and Instagram got a tidbit last week. Was it last week? I think it was last week. Was it before that? I can't remember. Of that guy. Which originally was, let's see, I had this kind of wire guy mocked up just to see if the actual geometry would work on the travel, and then came back and mocked it up with this guy like that, and it does work, chunk chunk. And then this is my final version, more or less. At least roughing out, just trying to get it to fit in there like that. Still have a long way to go with this. I need to fine tune the fit of the actual piece up in the blaster. A little fine tuning in here and stuff like that. And then I'm going to go through and continue to shape this to where it tucks in real nice, because I want this piece to be as thin as possible. Because right now the grip is just really nice, but if you add a thing, it might be less nice. So I want this to be as thin as possible, so I'm going to have it like as thin as possible on the corners and kind of round in a little bit, so you have a good amount of something to hang on to, and then be able to pull this out and open it up towards the front just enough to where hand fits in there nice and snug. That way fingers aren't flopping around when you're trying to whip this thing, because the idea is to have this thing lever action and be able to just flip it down, because it's going to be the secondary to the Mastodon, so I can just have two big honking mega cylinder fed thingies, and it's just going to be really cool and fun and awesome and stuff. Because this blaster is actually really nice. Like, I do like this thing for what it is, being the thing up here. It's just kind of silly and fun and whatnot. I would get another one of these, because I'm apparently on a mega kick right now, which is okay. But No, I'm really hoping I can make this thing work out. It's going to be weird because if you look at how damn wide this thing is, you have this guy down here, which is going to be shaped nicer, and then the hardware has to come out this far to be able to lap onto this linkage piece, and so it's going to have to come out and then down and then down, and so it's going to look almost like a spur, you know, where it hooks around the boot, you know, all the way around here and stuff. So hopefully it doesn't look too stupid and ridiculous, but I'm also hoping it's going to be as fun as in practice as it is in my head. So, like I said, if you have not been paying attention to the Facebook and Instagram, this is kind of the other stuff that's going on, and there's a whole lot of other cool stuff that happens that doesn't actually get on the channel, just because there's a lot of crap that doesn't really merit a video to be like, I'm working on a thing. That's like a 12-second video, which I don't think I've ever done a video that short, ever. But, so, like I said, it's just, things are happening, and if you're only viewing the channel, and you're wondering, what the heck's this guy doing? There's other things that are happening in the background at any given time. It's just not always video worthy, or I don't necessarily have the time at the moment to make a video about it. Kind of like the Atlas, you know. The Atlas I talk about a lot, and I was able to kind of give you a tidbit with the loadout video, being like, hey, here's how to make an Atlas, or here's an Atlas actually working good and being really cool and practical and fun and awesome. I just haven't given you the video on how to make yours do that, or how I made mine do that yet. So, like I said, we're getting there. We'll get there at some point. You should keep the middle finger area out of the lever. I don't know what you mean by that, but handle is so small you must have tiny fingers. No, it is very small. Like I said, it was the biggest drill bit I had on hand, and I just needed a hole, and I just started carving, and that was more just for visual reference for fitting it. Once I actually get the thing fitted where I want it, then I'm going to trim out the backside to where it's comfortable for wrapping around the grip, and then continue to cut out the front end of the front side of the hole to where my hand actually fits in like a normal hand. I have dumpy little hands anyway, but they're not that small. So, at some point. Extend the barrel so you have something to grab. Eventually, yes. If I can, I'm going to start with the lever action because that's the whole reason for doing anything. You know, if I can't whip it and I can't add like weight or something in the front to make it able to where I can just flip it, then yeah, I'm going to add something up front. And I want to add something up front just so it's not like, because I got the Warthog, which is technically just a Mastodon and Thunderhawk sandwich. It's just a Mastodon with like a Thunderhawk front end and back end, but it still looks like something entirely new. So for the Megalodon, I don't want to just be like, hey, it's a lever action Megalodon. If I'm going to have it to be kind of a sidearm to the Warthog, it needs to have its own little personality anyway. And so there's a few other things I'll probably change as well to it. I mean, there's not a whole lot more besides it's a handle and a drum and a handle. That's really all the thing is. So there's not a whole lot to work with. But yes, I do plan on adding something up front just to mix it up a little bit and give it its own identity. But the first and foremost priority is to get the lever action sorted out. Then I know kind of how much, you know, what shape is convenient for. Do I want to have more of a barrel with more of a flat side so I can prime it off of, or do I want to have more just kind of a angled grip that's just kind of a front end big enough to hang on to? You know, like I said, it all depends on how the lever action comes out. So that's yes, that is going to happen eventually. Just priorities. Will it need reinforcement if you make it really thin? The backside shouldn't, because there's not going to be any load on it. The part that's going to be inside the grip, it will need to be strong anyway, but it is 3 laminated layers of plexiglass, and so I think it's going to be pretty stout, and I'm not going to make it like paper thin. I'm just going to have it as unwide as possible. I mean, like, you look at, let me go over here and grab this sling fire that I need to review so that the China people will be like, well, stop bothering me so I can make a review on this. But I guess that's not super thin, but I mean, you figure the way the sling fire grip fits on a regular sling fire grip when it's not the Devil's Nerf Works fancy one that he made me, you grab onto it and it just feels normal. It just feels like, oh, I'm hanging on to something. It doesn't feel like I'm grabbing onto a grip that has a very large thing stuck to it that I'm unsure about. I want it to feel natural, feel like a single cohesive grip that just happens to, flip out. So that is the plan is to make it as strong as possible. That's why it's so like freaking thick and everything. But yeah, it's all going to work out in the end and be wonderful theoretically. Breaking that thing will break your fingers. That's why I want to design it in such a way that when you do flip it, then you can actually like kind of hang. At least I mean, I know I do with the sling fire. When I flip it down, I kind of grab onto the lever itself, and then you kind of release as it comes back when you grab onto the handle. So I'm imagining it's going to be a bit like that, and also I don't know. We'll get to that point. I didn't say it had to be super practical. It's just going to be really cool. And sometimes it's okay to make things that are impractical and just cool for a cool's sake. So, always quick video clips on Instagram. And yeah, I've done that a few times. I just usually when I'm taking pictures of progress, I'm taking pictures for myself as far as like just documenting a build. And I don't always do videos because believe it or not, I don't like making videos. Or talking at cameras. So normally when I'm documenting a build, it's for my own sake, but I do share, and so my brain doesn't immediately say, I need to make a video on this to share with people. And so that's just how, like, that's why quite often I'll post something. I rarely post something when I'm working on it. I'll usually work on it and have the pictures taken as I'm building, and I'll like actually post it like when I go to bed or sometime the next day or whatever. And so it's kind of a after the fact kind of thing. Thunderhawk barrel and extended chaos stock to make it the most oversized lever rifle ever. Making one of those things into an actual rifle would be kind of cool, because my plan was to keep it as small and compact as possible, so it was more of a mare's leg, whatever you call it, where it's just everything's all cut off as much as possible. But I do think one that's just like, hey, here's this enormous rifle that's lever action would be all kind of like, I don't know what the style is, like not steampunky, but it's like crazy over the top cyber western, whatever the heck that thing is that some people do. Oh, the China people. Whoops. Oh yeah, you know those guys. Still fire doesn't fire normal. Looks like Terminator shotgun. Live stream where you bust out a project. Live stream where I just bust out a project. That is the catch. I actually tried that once. I actually had a project where I thought, I'm going to make something small and simple that I can just, in the course of a live stream, it basically like a live model along where I just be like, here's this thing. I want it to do this. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut this and have it all in real time and have it just be like, like an hour or two at a time, just be like, hey, we're going to do this much. Then like the next week or a couple days later, do it some more. I tried doing that, but that was like my first live streaming attempt, and it was going very poorly. And it was one of those things where I had the thing and I'm like, yep, don't know what I'm going to do with this. And then slide it aside and grab something new and was tinkering with something else. But that later, well, in fact, that thing got shelved for a long time, and it eventually turned into the Secret Santa pistol that I made for Zombona, which was the, yeah, I got a video. Yeah, it was a video. I did a video on that, and I think I posted it to Facebook and Instagram as well. And it's just that little double strike pistol that had the Night Finder handle and the reflex muzzle land on it. Like I said, originally intended to be a super simple, silly little thing that I could knock out in a couple live streams. And I like that idea. But the bad thing is that when I'm actually building things, I rarely sit down and be like, I'm going to build this thing and then just build it. It's so often like, I have this idea, and so I'll pull a bunch of stuff out and cut some stuff up and go, okay, that's not going to be exactly what I want. And it'll get shelved or put back in the bin, and then I'll go on to something else. And to have somebody with such a short attention span, that would not work very good as a live stream, because you'd have people watching at home going, I'm super excited about this project you're working on. And then I shove it aside, and then you're like, hey, get the thing back out that I want to see. No, make that happen. And that just doesn't work for me creatively, because like if I lose passion on a project, it's like something else, squirrel, like that. So that's I do have dreams of doing that, being able to just sit down and just knock out a project, because I can see other people do it where they're like, you see a post on Facebook and they're like, "I'm gonna build this thing," and you're like, "Oh yeah, whatever. I know what that feels like." And then like 2 days later, they're like, "Here's this thing all painted," and it's like, how how did you just sit down and just knock out the whole thing? How does that work? Or somebody says, "Yeah, I'm gonna do this as a weekend project," and I'm like, "Yeah, it takes me like 2 freaking years to do anything." So I mean, if you can do that, awesome. I mean, man, just revel in that. I mean, that's great. I'm super happy. Like, I'm honestly super happy for people who can do that because I can't do that, and I sure as heck wish I could. So, did a quick mod recently. Took 2 hours to film, 1 hour to edit. Would not like to have streamed that because it was like 90% Dremel noise. Yeah, that's the other part. That's the other part is that there's so much Dremel noise. Like when I was working on this this Tyrant, not this one, but the other one. There's a whole lot of cutting because I was cutting over here and I'm doing all sorts of. There's just cut, grindy. So yeah, it's that's why during the model along videos, there's so much editing on the Dremel part, and that's cut out because it's just so boring. Especially when I do it, because I'll just like, I can't be like, I need to cut this line. It's like I need to cut right here. So I'm going to cut down to here and then kind of grind away and then grind away and grind away, grind away. And I think it just make people at home like so dang anxious because they're like, just cut it off. And so, yeah, like I said, it's a great idea and that'd be really, really fun. But, you know, I don't know. We do not know what the future holds. Neo Seeker, hello. How was school today? Do a stream where the live chat tells you what parts to mod. That's a horrifying idea. Maybe we'll do that for Halloween or something. Because I could see that just going poorly. Just being like, okay, we have a blah, and then, you know, wait for chat to be like, okay, cut that off. Okay, and then, you know, basically you guys create a mess, and then, you know, 2 hours, 3 hours into the stream and everybody decides to go to bed, I'm left with a mess and I don't know what the heck's going on. Which might be interesting. Might be interesting. Like I said, it horrifies me to think about. But, you know, you never know. Who's watching our time? Anybody watching our time? How are we doing? How are we doing? Let's check and make sure my wife's not flipping out, wondering if we're going out or not tonight, because I should probably, I'll be off around 6-ish. Ah, just bought some more time. Okay. Okay. Whew, that was close. Did we lose you? 83 minutes. Thanks, Alice. Almost 5 in Texas. Shoot. Okay. Wait, did I kill us? Are we totally dead? Are we still streaming? Are we still streaming? I hit the wrong button, killed things. So are we still live? Does anybody want to chime in and say, hey? Okay. Okay. Wait, put high up. Oh, yeah, we did that again. Oh, now it's not sure. Oh, holy cow. Boy, you can just see everything. I'm gonna zoom back in now. Oh, that's way too far. Oh, it's so touchy. Stop it. Ah, how about that? How about that? Okay. See, I accidentally pushed a button on my phone and then it decided to reset. So now things are all messed up, and now the iPad still isn't catching up. So, ooh, do I need to back out? I got kicked out of my own stream. How about this? Okay, there we go. All right, well that's kind of better. I think that's as good as we're gonna get. Okay. Ah yes, Ed, that was a live Zoom. That was a Zoom, right? That was just for you. 'Cause it did both, so you didn't know what I was exactly going for. So. Oh, what the heck do you want to do? What the heck do you want to do? Got a few more minutes still. Oh, we could talk about this. This is always exciting. Getting some progress on this as far as the I got this guy, which is the bottom half of the cover, and the little detent guy that makes the cylinder go like when you spin it. So I got that guy all glued together because he was a separate piece, but he needs to move out of the way to clear the cylinder. So it fits like so, but then it needs to slide back like that. Whoop. And then when you slide it in forward, then that comes all the way out, and it's great. So what it needs to do is I need to have some kind of guides that mount, you know, like guides that sit here and some kind of rods that connect to this guy. Because the idea is basically what I want to do is have to where, you know, you're firing stuff, then have a lever over here, because I mocked it up and had 2 rods that came out just for kind of testing and stuff like that. But I had one that came back and then turned into a hook. And it'd be cool to have it to where you can fire it, and then when you want to disengage this, then you slide it forward. This guy's still held in place by I think I want to do like a spring, have like a spring on at least this side, maybe both sides of the rod, and maybe even do like some kind of weird magic magnet thing that kind of helps locate it in place. But basically to where you have a lever, kind of like a mag release type thing here, like the long strike or like the retaliator, that you grab onto here and then slide it back, and then you know, as long as you hold it back, it stays out here. That way when this is slid forward, you can drop the cylinder out, put the new cylinder in, let go of this, that way it's holding the cylinder, and then you can slide back on this guy and lock it into place. So that is the plan. It's just one of those things that's kind of a silly thing that's going to be only practical enough to make it, I don't know, it's not even going to be that practical. But the fact that I have 2 people who are like, yeah, I've cut up Mastodons and I have a cylinder. Do you want a cylinder? I'm like, okay. Then I have 3 more Mastodons in the bin over there, and at least one of them is going to get turned into a magazine fed. So I've got another one there. So if I can just have like a backpack full of these guys, and I think I talked about that in the video, that'll just be super cool, and it'll be a nice way to make the Mastodon a little more practical. Instead of having to have like, okay, you got 24 shots and that's all. It's like, okay, you got 24 times however many drums you can find. And so if I could make like you got everybody making like dispenser backpacks. If I could find some like, if you think about it, if I could find some like giant ABS like drain pipe or something that's just that big around, and just stack them all up on top of each other, because that would sit there and that would sit there, and it shouldn't, even if they rest on each other, it shouldn't goof up the darts. So if you have like 6 or 8 of these sitting in a single tube with the side cut out of it at the bottom, and so you'd have like a mag dispenser quiver basically, and so you just like grab this thing and slide it out, and then you got the next one drops into place, and then you just shove that up in there. Ha! That's cool. So do I still need motors for this project? Well, Alice? I was going to talk to you about that, actually. I was thinking about it, and the possibility of using the rival motors and rival flywheels, only maybe just like grinding off the aggressive teeth from the rival flywheels so that they're nicer to Mega Darts. I have this OFP cage that printed horribly, partially because my printer sucks right now, and partially because the design is a bit odd, because you push the motors in all the way, and then you try to put the flywheels on the motors, and the flywheels run into the cage and bind up on the cage before they actually make it onto the shaft all the way. So that's not going to fly. But I don't know, I'm thinking if I could like just even like chuck this up in the drill and then just like use a file or something, like a rat tail file, and just smooth out the teeth on here so that it's still got the concavity, but you also have the bigger shaft hole to fit the rival motors. Because I do want the rival motors, because man, they're torquey, and the idea is to get some of those, was it 380? Like the bigger can, the longer can rival motors that Out of Dart sells. They're just some like beastly torque things. Because I totally want to run those, but I don't want to destroy my darts as much. I just want the mega torque, and so that is the plan of attack. And so if I can utilize the rival motor can size and get flywheels to work. Like I said, in fact, I think I mentioned to you, Alice, I had kicked around the idea of taking the Mastodon wheels and just boring the hole out a little bit more and then like Loctiting them into place so that you get the benefits of the concavity and the smooth Mastodon flywheels, but also the mad torque of the 360 380s motors. But then that also changes the geometry since this Mastodon cage is designed to work with the rival spacing, so I couldn't just put those wheels on because they're slightly larger, and so that gets into all sorts of weird geometry. So it's like if I could get a Mastodon cage and geometry, but with a hole for rival motors, and then be able to fit the Mastodon flywheels on the rival motors, or things like that. I don't know. That would is what I would like to have happen because that would be like I said, rival motors just sound cool, and I want to be able to upgrade to the big boys that Luke sells. So that is my end goal. So technically, I have yes, Neo Seeker, I believe, as you asked. Um, that is the plan of attack. I just need to find out how things are happening and the best way to go about that, if that option exists. Um, if only I had access to Tyrant mags. Yeah, or knew somebody who made 3D printed Nerf magazines. Yeah, that's a thing. Not sure how that'd work, because man, like I'm just looking at this 6-round mag, and I'm not sure how that'd work. At least not for my little ender, as far as printing, right? Mega mags. I have a design for a 3D printed cylinder replacement for the Mastodon. I was actually going to talk to somebody someday. Like I said, I have a handful of Mastodons. When I was first working on my original Mastodon that I got when they first came out, I had the idea of making one set up for just elite darts, regular standard size darts, because you could cram them together and fit like almost double the capacity. So you could have like a 40 something, almost 50 round drum, full auto, but you'd have to change the gearing on the or the whole rotation mechanism and the pusher mechanism and everything. But I thought, man, if you could have a giant drum like this and a giant blaster that fired, elite darts, because it wouldn't have to travel as far, so you could have a higher rate of fire before you ran into clutch issues. Because like with this, it's like firing and then it has to move move like an inch and a half. Well, if it's an elite, it only has to move like a fraction of that, so you could have a lot higher rate of fire without the thing eating itself. And so you could have like this super high rate of fire drum thing on a Mastodon. I thought that'd be really cool, but I didn't know enough 3D printing people at the time. So I don't know what you're planning as far as what you have going on, but that is an idea I had at the time. Don't have to change the tabs on the gearbox, just the tabs on the back of the cylinder. I guess that makes sense, Ed, because, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But you could run a higher RPM motor, I reckon, or at least run more voltage to the pusher. You'd have to work a different pusher because you'd at least cut down the head so it wasn't as large. And I guess you might actually need to travel more, because you'd have to change the flywheels as well. So you'd have to, I think, if I remember right, I kind of eyeballed it, you could basically build basically an adapter cage to where it's like, the cage is not holding the motors, the cage is just holding more motor mounts that you could put like a strife cage or a typical geometry cage onto this bracket. That way you don't have like a little regular flywheel cage with this big brackets hanging out, which I guess you could anyway. especially if you're printing it and going to stick a printed cage on it anyway. You might as well do it all at the same time. But when this was all going through my head, this was technology wasn't quite the same as it is right now. This was, good heavens, what, 2 years ago? So no, but that idea, as far as no, you'd have to change the pusher length as well, because you'd have to push the dart further to get to the flywheels. Now, there's a lot of things going on, but no, that was an idea I had at the time. I just didn't have the resources at my disposal. But no, that's if you're working on that, I am very interested in watching that. So please keep me posted, Ed. Shorter cylinder, mount the cage, much for the back. Messaged you a picture of some of the things that came in the mail the other day. Okay, I will remind you about that. Oh, Milan, how you doing? Thanks for stopping by. Star Hopper doesn't successfully did its thing and didn't explode if anyone cares. I don't know what you're talking about there. Short cylinder makes it. Yes, Ed, that's definitely looking forward to that. Like I said, it was an idea I'd had before, and just didn't, like I said, didn't have the resources and didn't have the experience to really know what all needed to happen. But it was definitely something that I'd considered reaching out about. So I'm glad somebody's working on that, because it's a silly thing and impractical and unnecessary, and nobody actually asked for it, which is the best time to create something. Don't wait until somebody wants something to make it. Make something so good people want it, because it is so good. But and oh, Alice, those motors, I believe that they should fit the same. They're just a regular motor. Like, I think these are 360s, and the other ones are 380s, which is like kind of like a 130, 180 kind of situation. It's the same size can, it's just longer. And so you wouldn't necessarily need to change what's going on as far as the cage geometry itself, because it'll just stick out the side further. But I'm okay with that, because I believe, darn you, I think the motor's going to stick out this side, and I think I'm going to have to build a cage, or not a cage, but a cover anyway, because I think the rival motors stick out a little further than the Mastodon motors anyway. So I'm already prepared to do some body work here and change some things. But the giant motors that Luke sells will just make that even more of a necessity. But it's an okay necessity if it means the things are going to sound like, I don't know, really cool. To where, like, you fire up your blaster and it sounds more like a lawnmower or something. That'd be cool. I mean, not the lawnmowers sound cool, but if a blaster sounds like a lawnmower, that's saying something, I guess. So, Alexander, greetings from Sweden. Oh, greetings from Idaho. Shafts are longer on the 380s he sells as well, so factor that in. Good to know. I hadn't considered that. Shafts are longer. I believe he sells the... I think he has little spacers as well. They're supposed to help even that out, but I'm not sure how all that works. But I'm very much willing to find out how that all works if I can make this thing happen. Because, like I said, the stock motors just really aren't up to snuff, even on 3S, especially for a single trigger operation. My goal is to have this thing to where I can just pull the trigger and just mash the trigger and have it just fling and foam like crazy. The rate of fire I'm pretty happy with. So if I can stay on that 3S power source, I'm pretty happy. I do want to try 4 though, just to see how stupid this can get, especially since I've modified the clutch on this guy. So things might get ridiculous later, but in a very much good way. Do I fix Nerf guns for people? I fix stuff for like local guys and stuff, but beyond that, no. And I'm, especially with having less and less free time anymore, that's becoming even less of an option. In fact, I have no know how that's going to go. Blaster that needs eye pro and ear pro. Maybe. Can I probably just rotate that thing so it's right way up? Oh, 5, 10 minutes. Oh, jeez, okay. You should do a video on how to upgrade that slip clutch. I don't know, I thought about doing that, but, you know, I hate to tread on somebody else's turf, since I believe you pretty much covered everything that I would have covered anyway, so, and probably did a lot better at it, and you had an accent, and that makes it a lot more fun to listen to, so there's that. I'm going to send you some pictures of my ongoing projects later today. Do it, yeah. It's always cool to see what you're building. Problem of fixing blasters for non-locals is shipping. Yes! In fact, that was the main thing. In fact, it was the Raleigh Youth Nerf Club guys that you guys helped out in my stead, basically. Yeah, when he's like, "Hey, can we ship you a bunch of stuff?" And I'm like, "Dude, you're shipping that thing across the country. That's like, it's gonna cost you like 50, 60, $80 just to ship there, and then the same back. And even if I do the stuff for free, you're still in the hole a whole lot more." So yeah, being able to have them ship only like a state over really helped them out. And so again, I appreciate you guys getting together and making that little thing happen for those guys, the Raleigh guys. Uh, Your friend allowed me to donate. You have gotten $100 donation. Oh, I appreciate that. And again, all proceeds and super chats or whatever they call it that show up here do stay in the hobby. In fact, oh crap, Patreon people. If I have any of you Patreon people hanging out, I've not forgotten about you. I've just like literally was out of town for almost a month, and then was working 12 to 14 hour days for a week or so, and just got back on a normal schedule, kind of. And so I saw when that money came in, I'm like, oh, I need to do something special for you guys. So I bought a couple of the Liberators to experiment with. So you guys did. Uh, well, I guess you helped bring that or make that into a thing. But I do have a couple other things that I want to get. In fact, I'm looking at some foreign orders. Just waiting for things to settle down to where I can actually use them, or not use them, but get to the point where I can order them. But is some cool stuff I want to build and work on that you guys are helping to contribute to. So I probably don't tell you enough because it's been so dang long since I've actually posted on Patreon, and I'm really sorry, guys. I try to post to Patreon anytime I do a video, but I haven't been able to do a video for a while because I was out of town and things. So, like I said, if any of you guys are listening, I haven't forgot about you. I still appreciate you guys. Things are just in a period of adjustment for me personally right now, and so, yeah, there hasn't been a whole lot of nerfing time at all whatsoever. So this is kind of the first. This is why I wanted to do a live stream because I didn't know what kind of video to work on, and this at least gets it out, being like, "Hey, I'm still doing things, guys," and things like that. So, don't post to Canadians. Very expensive. Yes, out of town to the horrendous Georgia heat. Yes, in fact, my boss emailed me yesterday on my day off saying, "Hey, when was that? When was your anniversary trip you're going to go on? Because I want to try to want to try to shoehorn in another Georgia trip, another 3 week Georgia trip, and it was going to land like the last week if it was going to be on my anniversary when we're going to Hawaii. Yay!" And so he's like, "Oh yeah, darn, forgot about that. I was really hoping to get you down there." And I'm like, "Whew, boy, I was really hoping I didn't have to go to Georgia again this year." No offense to people who live in Georgia. Um, I guess it just means I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, not looking forward to another Georgia trip, but I know another Georgia trip is in the future. So, hey, Georgia people, I'm going to be heading back down there again. Maybe this year, but definitely first of next year, probably, as soon as my boss can make something happen because he wants me to learn more things so I can be more valuable, and maybe they'll pay me more money too, which would be super neat. Um, so, yeah, look forward to that in the future because I won't. But if there's, I'll definitely post when I get the dates of when I'm going to be going back down to Georgia. So if there's any cool Nerf events, I would love to be a part of that to make it a little more worthwhile. Um, what color are you going to paint this gun? This guy is going to stay. Um, Probably going to stay reddish, I think, just because it's already red and very much is red and likes being red. So, um, when the bodywork's all done and I put it in primer, if something else sings to me and says this thing should be green or blue or yellow, then we'll go from there. But right now, I'm really happy with the mega color scheme, just because I like the mega color scheme. So it'll likely be that way. Um, Paint it with a longer stock. That was the idea. The idea was to have the grip right up here, and then extend, cut up the stock and make the stock out here. If the stock is here, it's a great length. But the fact that the grip was supposed to be up here would have made it perfect. But like this grip here is literally as close as I could get it, without crashing into the whole internal rotating mechanism, without moving it down. And I didn't want the handle down here and have like be holding the handle down here and then the blaster's like floating above it. I was very much paying attention to the profile and everything, and so that was a bit of a compromise. But something this big, like this, does feel good. And I think, I mean, yes, if the grip was up here where it was intended to be, it'd be a lot more comfortable. But even how it is, it just tucks in real nice and it's happy. So, but the whole plan with the, because I want to do the same thing, take a Mastodon, put a Mega magazine in it, and I might go with the Thunderhawk stock again because I have another one. But I'm definitely going to put the grip right up here, just tuck it up right behind the magazine, so it's just like magazine grip. And then I'm going to make some cuts and extend this and have the stock be back here still. It'll just be different, and so maybe you'll like that one. Ooh, Georgia. Yes, very much. Again, no offense to people who live in Georgia. I mean, I'm sure somebody from Georgia would come up to Idaho and be like, "Wow, your desert sucks," and I'm like, "Yeah, but it's my desert. Don't knock my desert." Um, but yeah, I just nothing against it. Georgia is beautiful from the plane, but then as soon as they open the door to the plane, it's like, "Bleh," and I want to go home. So. So, 3 trips would be too much, and I'm just one state. Yeah, geez. Yeah, that's a whole lot of time on the plane. Georgia, I'm not crazy about Georgia anyway, but the fact that it's on the other side of the country just makes it that much worse. Um, it's either a good sign or a bad sign if the boss is repeatedly trying to get you to Georgia. It's a training thing. That's where the corporate headquarters is, and so it's like that's where all the main training and stuff is. So they ship everybody down there, and it's like, hey, we want you to be as educated as possible. So I guess it's good. It's not one of those things where it's like you keep breaking things. Let's get you out of town as much as possible. So it's going to stay a radish. That's fine. If you think Georgia's bad, you should try South Alabama. I don't want to. 70 degrees in January. Oof. See, I'm hoping that they'll send me in like spring or fall this time instead of in the middle of summer. So, yeah, I'm hoping that if they want to do more training, it'll be like in like late winter, early spring, or sometime before summer. And then if they want to send me down again, then it'll be like, schedule it far enough in advance so they can get me in for the fall. But yeah, the summer it was just no, no, let's not do that, okay? So. Mockingbird, looking good. Thank you very much. Alice spent the last 10 minutes unscrewing the Mastodon. Yeah, that's about right. That's yeah, yeah. That's yeah, yeah. Bad thing is, I ended up using so much of the thing that I didn't really lose very many screw ports. In fact, I might have just added a few since I have all this stock, the grip thing down here and stuff. But all right. Well, Alice, if you're opening a Mastodon, I'm very interested because I know that means good things are going to happen. So, bless you for your efforts and things like that. And how are we doing on time? Who's watching the clock for me? Can we have a time check? Ed, the Mastodon shell has 5 different screws. Yeah, they all look the same to me. I don't pay attention to that crap. I've got my jar says that there's this many screw types, and so if it fits in the hole, it's gonna go. So that's how I operate. So we'll see how it goes. 109. Okay, gotcha. Okay, I should probably shut things down because I have not answered my wife yet, who's like, "Hey, I'm gonna be getting off work at this time. Let's go to a movie." And I just saw that and was like, "Oh, okay," and totally have not responded. So to you married folk, or to you not married folk, keep in mind that when your wife or your spouse, reaches out to you and asks the questions and stuff, don't just ignore it because communication is key. And so I'm going to do my part as a good spouse, and I'm going to try to respond to my wife to let her know that hey, I'm all on board and I'm hopping in the shower so I can be all happy, good looking, and ready to go for the movie. And so let's shut things down. And thank you very much, everybody who stopped in. I don't remember how many of you were here because my little chat or top viewer counter thing was not working. So those of you who showed up, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking some time out of your Tuesday or Wednesday if you're on the other side of the world. And I don't know. I might try to do this a little more often, especially since my nerfing time is a little more sporadic. I might have to rely a little more heavily on just live streaming when I have a chance to work on things instead of actually doing video things like sitting down and recording. So if that's cool with you guys, then we might do that a little more often. Still want to try to do some videos because, like I said, I've got the Atlas video I want to crank out. So we'll see how that goes. And enjoy the rest of your evening or day or whatever it is for you guys. And be safe. Love you all. And we'll see you guys later.